Yeah, because, okay, so I'll just do a quick rundown. So basically, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, Piccolo, decimated the Earth or some shit. Like, he, like, caused genocide, but then a bunch of, like, weirdos from, like, some kung fu club put his soul in, like, fucking Azkaban or some shit. I don't know. It literally made zero sense. The whole reason... God, sure, okay, whatever, okay, whatever. But then somehow he escaped, because just like how Palpatine somehow came back from the fucking grave, he just somehow escaped. So, whatever, I don't know. Anyway, we follow Goku, quote-unquote, this white kid named Goku, who, you know, is skilled in martial arts, but rather than focus on being stronger, he wants to get pussy. He wants to get Chi-Chi's pussy. Chussie, as I like to call it. Yeah. And fuck, I don't know what else happened. Piccolo brings the house down, Gohan died, so he has to go on an adventure, and then Bulma and Yamcha are there, and then Master Roshi fucks off, and then, you know, things happen, and then the movie's over. So, yeah, that's the plot, I guess. Okay, here we go. So, Dragon Ball is, if you couldn't tell from, like, the, you know, attempt for me to explain the lore, that I give a shit about Dragon Ball. I give a shit about the lore, and I care about, you know, the anime and stuff. Like, it's not just, like, it's not just this anime I saw when I was a kid. It was, like, a very important, influential anime. It's, like, I would argue, along with Cowboy Bebop, like, this was the anime that got me into anime in the first place. And a lot of that had to do with, like, not just, like, it had nothing to do with, like, the anime-isms. Like, it has a lot to do with, like, how the show was actually animated, how fight scenes were, like, choreographed and, like, actually executed just in general. Like, the characters. Like, this is what I gave a shit about, and because of the success of Dragon Ball, it made me want to pursue, like, all these other Shonen Jump animes, like Naruto and fucking One Piece and all this other shit, and eventually I transitioned to just exploring all of anime in general, and I'm incredibly thankful for that. And that's why I fucking hate and despise this piece of shit of a movie, because it's just this... It's like you said, it's like this symbol of cynicism. It's like you brought a bunch of people who just didn't give a single flying fuck about this anime, who just didn't give a shit, and they just said, fuck it, like, we're doing this for a paycheck, we're just make a movie, and then fuck it, no one will care, like, weebs will go see it because it has Dragon Ball in it. But turns out, when you just make a piece of shit, no one wants to go see or support a piece of shit when it's just a piece of shit. So, when I started watching the movie, I started writing notes, and it got to the point where I had 2 full pages of notes, both front to back, and barely 20 minutes of the movie had like commenced, and I was like, okay, I gotta, like, stop writing and just watch the movie, because, like, I have to finish it at some point. And then I did, and I realized the only time I didn't completely hate myself was when I was writing notes, because writing notes helped distracted me from the fact that from fully immersing myself in the cringe that is this movie, because it's fucking awful. Like, everything is so awful. Like, the first 5 minutes of the movie is so fucking stupid. It's like, they do this, like, bullshit CG Lord of the Rings, like, intro, because I realize, oh my god, like, none of this movie makes any fucking sense whatsoever. None of this makes zero fucking sense. So we're gonna do some, like, CG bullshit, but I would argue, like, the exposition makes the story even more confusing and even more convoluted, because, like, it unintentionally binds Piccolo and Goku together when they really weren't that close. They were just dudes that fought each other, and again, by having them be so close, you are essentially cutting off the real meat of this story, which is the Saiyan arc, which I guess they wanted to explore in, like, a sequel or some shit. Like, good fucking luck with that, like, if you somehow could pull that off. But anyway, like, I'm gonna go by one, because, like, that's the only way I can really process this movie. The opening fight scene of this movie is fucking awful. It's horrendous as shit. Like, even if you don't give a fuck about Dragon Ball, the way this fight scene is cut together is just the choppiest, laziest shit ever. It's like they cut before a punch is thrown, before someone gets hit, like, right in the last second. It's like bullshit that you do when you don't know how to execute a fight scene. It's like, if you don't know how to pull off a martial arts scene, you just do this shit. And then the obvious, like, use of doubles every time, like, you can't see Goku's face, and then you have this stupid ass shit where they do these, like, rip off Zack Snyderisms where he like, oh wow, cool, slow-mo, and like, wow, like, this Goku's like dripping with Vaseline oil. Like, who the fuck thinks this is cool? Who the hell likes this? And they do this stupid thing where he kicks the rope and he kicks a bug inside Goku's mouth, and then I guess that's like played for laughs. It wasn't funny, and the CG wasn't good either, but anyway, like, the fight is over, and then they do this stupid bullshit where Goku, like, is this whiny, angsty teenager, who's also white, by the way, which makes me laugh every time any, like, non-white people call this white kid Goku. Like... whatever. Anyway, he's all like, you know what, Grandpa, I need you to help me be a player. I want you to help me get some chi-chi pussy, this chi-chussy, as we've all been joking about. Like, he doesn't give a fuck about the Dragon Balls in of himself. Like, Grandpa Gohan gives Goku a Dragon Ball for his birthday, and he's like, well, fuck this shit, I want to learn how to, like, you know, fuck Chi-Chi and all this shit, give me some condoms, as whoever said this. And then they introduce Piccolo, who is just a bad guy. He's just this, like, evil, generic bad guy who I guess can just do the fucking force or whatever. And then so much of the lines, the dialogue in themselves is so fucking cringeworthy. Like, here is a legit line from... There are two lines that I wrote down in particular. One was, they push me so far that I want to explode. And I don't train you to fight boys. Who the fuck wrote this movie? So anyway, doesn't matter, the whole movie, he goes to school, which is stupid as fuck, but even if you don't care about the anime, like, and ignore the fact that, like, this is a complete betrayal to Goku, this is so stupid. Like, this is a terrible way to introduce your character. They introduce this thing, what I like to call the Justin Chatwin forehead, where every time he, like, inks, or, like, closes his face or some shit, like, you can see, like, his forehead, like, just, like, have, like, crinkles all over or whatever. It happens so often. It was so annoying. And then you have this, like, CW level production where all the bullies, like, act like fucking CW, like, characters or whatever. Is like, make me Geeko. Like, Geeko? Like, really? Why didn't you call him Geeku? That makes sense, because his name's Goku. Why'd you call him Geeko? Anyway, doesn't matter. A bunch of more bullshit happens, and the plot is just an excuse for shit to happen. This movie does not give a single fuck about its characters. Like, characters are just a concept where they just throw things around and then they just fight, and then, like, the next thing happens and they fight, and the next thing happens. It's like, there is no proper build-up for any of these characters. There is no proper, like, moment for them to have a character or, you know, build some kind of relationship or give a fuck. No, they're just there because, you know, jokes and fights and stuff. Like, the closest thing these people do to character development is that one scene where, like, Goku's eating a big leg of meat, which I get, like, that's a reference to the anime, but it's so fucking off in this whole movie because that's not, like, they don't properly establish that. They just throw that in there because, fuck it, I guess this is a reference to the anime. When Master Roshi, who, by the way, is fucking terrible in the movie, he's just like, Mutan Roshi, and he does this stupid anime face, but again, it doesn't work because this movie is so full of angst and cringe. Like, these anime moments are so off-putting. It's like you didn't do the proper work to build up to these moments. It's like, say what you will about a movie like Speed Racer, the movie is just a pure cartoon. Like, it's a bad pure cartoon, but it's still, like, a pure cartoon that knows what its tone is and knows what it is. This is trying to do, like, some fucking edgelord, like, Christopher Nolan movie, and then to have all these, like, stupid, goofy anime moments, like when, like, Goku has to, like, carry this huge, like, a lot of junk in the movie while they're running, because that he has that montage, that training montage of the anime. Like, it just doesn't work. And all the characters, they're so fucking awful. They're so much worse. Like, again, even if you don't care about the anime, they're just terribly written characters. Bulma is no longer this, like, intelligent, smart scientist. Now she's just like, oh, I want to be famous, and blah, 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 blah. Like, Yamcha is no longer this, like, badass bandit. He's now this, like, fucking surfer bro, frat bro, who's like, yo, like, I want to get some money with the Dragon Balls or whatever. Like, fuck off. Like, how am I supposed to care about these characters when they're not properly developed, they're not properly introduced? They barely have a motivation to be in this movie anyway, and they're still here, because movie, I guess. So anyway, doesn't matter. Like, then some more bullshit happens, like, Chi-Chi gets cloned by May or whatever her name is, and clones fight each other, and by the way, this movie introduces stupid concepts like airbending, which, okay, whatever, and yeah, the fight scenes themselves, they're fucking awful. Like, that final fight scene with Goku and Piccolo, it looks like it's straight out of fucking Kung Pao. Like, it looks like a scene from Kung Pao. That's how fucking awful we're dealing with here. Anyway, and then they set up for a sequel, which, stupid as fuck, doesn't matter, but thank God they didn't follow through because this movie didn't make any money. And the overall look of this movie is awful. This came out the same year as Avatar. Like, that's how fucking sad and pathetic this shit is. Like, even if you don't give a fuck about the fight scenes, or the characters, or the writing, or the directing, or anything like that, like, can we at least get some decent CG? Because a lot of the anime, like, there's a lot of these grand scale fights, these epic fights, and then they just say, fuck that shit, here's them doing some wire fu, like, Kung Pao shit. Like, fuck off. Anyway, I'm gonna stop right there because I'm gonna get a heart attack if I keep talking. But that's about it. That's all I'll have to say. This movie's fucking awful. Like, not only is this a betrayal to the anime, this is just a betrayal to movies. Like, this is a piece of shit. Like, the lowest, easiest 1 out of 10 I could give. So.
You could give this negative stars, would you?
Oh hell yeah! I'd give this negative 1,000 stars.